We've got ones that can see. Welcome everybody to today's show. I've been waiting to do a video for a few days on this topic. RFK Jr. wants wearable technology on every American's wrist within the next 4 years. And on top of that, they have also stated that the Department of Health and Human Services is going to launch the largest campaign in government history, which means the largest propaganda campaign in government history to convince Americans into getting this technology on their wrist. Now, eventually what they're going to do is force people to have wearable technology. And then, of course, we know all this is about is getting underneath your skin eventually. I've been screaming, I've been warning people for over a decade. These people do not care about our health. They are using health as a disguise to get you to give up your privacy, to get you pretty much tagged and tracked and monitored like cattle. That's what this is actually about. They showed you a couple of years ago that they didn't care at all about your health, and they used health and safety as a guise for getting people to inject themselves with something that they didn't even know was actually helping connect them to the internet of bodies. So once again, RFK has shown his true colors, and this is the transition. The wearable tech is the transition into getting underneath the skin. And I mentioned cattle because farmers use smart collars on their cattle to detect flu and other illnesses. You could see most of these cattle that are tagged. You could find their location and where they are at any point in time. And that's what your government is treating you as, cattle. Now, we know a lot of the books that these people read in their supposed temples talk about how the rest of us are no different than cattle. Well, now they're really revealing it to you as they're telling you that you're going to need to be tagged for your health, not for any other reason, so that you can know, whoa, my heart rate is this. Ooh, I've taken this many steps. They've tried to get you to willingly participate in wearable technology, but it hasn't gone the way that they expected it to, like the cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, but not everybody has wearable tech. Well, they're going to see to it that you do. And don't be surprised if they tell you that you're not going to be able to have health insurance unless you have wearable technology, because that's what the future looks like. Your government's going to tell you, look, we're transitioning into AI healthcare, which is, again, one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of months with the PsyOps, with the United Healthcare CEO. All the stories out there about how corrupt and rotten the healthcare industry is now all of a sudden. Of course, they're all out there because they're transitioning you into wanting AI healthcare, less human beings involved and more artificial intelligence. Doesn't this sound very familiar, this whole wearable technology, to the contact tracing? Because remember, one of the things that they were trying to establish in 2020 was contact tracing. They were trying to establish people and getting people used to being monitored and traced. Are you 6 feet apart from this person? Where did you travel? Were you near somebody on a plane that might have had it as well? They were getting you to give up your privacy, whether you willingly wanted to do it or not. And now, of course, they're using other means to deceive people into getting tagged and tracked like cattle. So we know the transition has been going on for a while. The phone was the beginning. And then we saw stuff like the Apple Watches. We see things now like the Oura Rings, where people literally, everything on their body is some type of smart device, which means that it's some type of tracking device. And of course, we know how popular they're trying to make Apple Vision Pro and things like the Apple contact lenses, because they're preparing people with this wearable technology to actually see the interface through their own eyes. So they're seeing their phone interface on these Apple Vision Pros and these Apple lenses and these Google glasses. They could see what you would see in the palm of your hand on your phone through their own eyes. And that's the transition into getting the tech under your skin. Don't forget Zuckerberg declaring the end of mobile phones. Because what's going to replace mobile phones? Brain-computer interfaces. Neural links will make phones obsolete in the future. And this is all about getting underneath the skin and connecting you to the internet of bodies. Now think about it from this term. All of this wearable technology that people have in their bodies is already connecting them to the internet of bodies. We're one step away from people being fully connected. What Elon Musk calls the collective consciousness, which is really the controlled hive mind, where man and machine is mixed as one. So it starts with getting you to tag yourself with this wearable tech. And since you didn't willingly do it, well, now your government wants to come in and force you into it. They're going to start with a major propaganda campaign to convince people that it's in their best interest to have this tech on their bodies. They're probably going to give it away for free through the health insurance companies. They're probably going to say, look, what's your healthcare provider? They're going to give it to you for free so that people say, you know what, for free? Okay. They're probably going to start having doctors, because remember, the CDC protocols, they all give the protocols to all these doctors, and all they do is just follow what the protocols are. This isn't like the TV show House or ER, where the doctors can go off and do whatever they want, and they go, well, I got this crazy kooky idea to save your life. They have to follow it or they lose their practice. I guarantee you that the CDC will tell doctors to start pushing this, just like they pushed the vax onto all of their test subjects out there. These doctors will be told to start pushing wearable tech onto their clients, onto the people that come into their office. And then, of course, it'll be provided to them free via healthcare to get more people on board. And again, if you refuse, you will likely be told that you can no longer have insurance. This is your government not looking out for your health. This is your government tagging you like cattle. And nobody seems to care or pay attention to it, because the majority of people are too distracted about what a man is and what a woman is, and can men have babies or not, and what's the latest thing that they're fighting about here and there over politics, while your government is flat out coming out and telling you that they want every person within the next 4 years to have wearable tech on their body so they can be tracked and monitored by the government just like cattle. This is RFK in Congress.
Secretary Kennedy, my first question is that there is a tremendous amount of research that shows that greater engagement with one's health leads to better outcomes. In recent years, American innovators have created and improved wearable devices so that not only are consumers able to better engage with their health through monitoring data, but they are able to share that data with providers. I believe American consumers, in line with the 21st Century Cures Act, should be able to access these innovative wellness tools. Secretary Kennedy, do you agree that consumers should continue to have access to these tools?
Absolutely. In fact, we're about to launch one of the biggest advertising campaigns in HHS history to encourage Americans to use wearables. It's a way of people can take control over their own health. They can take responsibility. They can see, as you know, what food is doing to their glucose levels, their heart rates, and a number of other metrics as they eat it. And they can begin to make good judgments about their diet, about their physical activity, about the way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the MAHA agenda, making America healthy again, and we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Following up on my previous questions, what steps will you take, and you just said that you're going to do a big announcement next week to access digital health tools to track, monitor, and improve their health, while also ensuring appropriate patient data privacy, security, and protections. In dealing with some of that, I have had questions come up when I've spoken to medical groups about wearables and the privacy. Do you have anything reassuring for that, or would that be part of the announcement?
Well, as I said, we're going to do a major advertising campaign encouraging Americans to wear wearables. I've personally had friends who've utterly changed their lives just from wearing a glucose meter. And they've lost weight, they've lost their diabetes, diagnoses, and you see this happen again and again. It really has a miraculous impact on health in our country. And it's $80 a month, and we're exploring ways of making sure that that those costs can be paid for. It's the Ozempic is costing $1,300 a month. Right. If you can achieve the same thing with an $80 wearable, it's a lot better for the American people.
Great to hear. My office and I myself are also doing the same thing. I think we share the same belief that digital health tools, including telehealth and remote patient monitoring, are steps in the right direction in ensuring healthcare access. Specifically, I've been a strong advocate for the use and coverage of remote patient monitoring. During your time as Secretary, what progress do you hope to see in terms of access to and improvement of remote patient monitoring tools?
Remote patient monitoring, you mean like AI and AI nurses? Is that what?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we are working on that. As I said before, we've brought people into this agency who are the greatest technical expertise probably of any agency, except maybe the Defense Department, the CIA, and the United States government. I'm very encouraged by the caliber of people we've been able to attract to the agency, and that's one of the things we're doing. It's important. It keeps people out of emergency rooms. It's critically important for rural health care and for people who can't travel, for elderly Americans who can't leave their homes, but they can find out what's happening to their health without going to see a doctor or to go to an urgent care or an emergency room.
I agree with that, and I've been working with the federally qualified health centers doing some pilots with that. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Secretary Kennedy, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
So we're going to see a major campaign, of course, of propaganda. We're going to see, like I mentioned, the CDC. We're going to see new protocols put in place where doctors start pushing this on their patients. And we're going to see insurance companies, I guarantee you, start offering this. Remember, like I said earlier, they are trying to transition everything into AI governance, which includes the healthcare system, which is why they're sabotaging everything. They're making everybody want change. And these people don't even realize that the change that they want, problem, reaction, solution, is what the government really wants in the first place, which is everything controlled via technology, a slave to technology. That's why they're making people hate one another so much. That's why people have grown so cold of one another. People don't trust the healthcare system anymore, but you can trust in AI healthcare because, again, the AI will be under your skin monitoring and tracking. So that's why they create these PSYOPs like the United Healthcare PSYOP, so that people out there start cheering for a guy who shoots down a healthcare CEO in the streets, and they're cheering him down because the healthcare industry is so corrupt. And we hear story after story after story every single day in the mainstream media about people who are getting refused healthcare. They have a problem in the healthcare. They're not giving them insurance on it. They're not allowing them to get a procedure that they need. All done by design. Surveillance under the skin is what's next. When you look at a lot of the crap going on in the world in 2025, look no further than the crap that was going on in the world in 2020. Because all of the things that happened in 2020, they're still trying to implement now, just through different psychological means. They wanted you to participate in contact tracing. They made you download apps so that they could track and monitor you on your phone in the name of preventing diseases from being spread, right? And obviously we know of all the other things that were going on during COVID that they still plan to implement. Travel restrictions, like I've covered recently, making you not want to get on a plane through these horror stories of planes crashing in to one another. What else do we have? Well, we had people quarantining in place. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to get you to buy everything online. Stores are shutting down. They're trying to get you to stay home, telling you to reduce your carbon footprint. This is what the plan is to enslave humanity. It's about getting surveillance under the skin. And here's some clips, including here's a photo of RFK hanging out with Russell Brand, who happens to conveniently have his own show called Under the Skin, in addition to his alt-right media charade that he puts on, luring conservative Christians into thinking that he's one of them with his fake bogus baptism. He's rubbing shoulders with RFK a few months ago, and this is them talking about what the plan has always been, getting surveillance under the skin.
Yuval, thank you so much for joining me on Under the Skin.
Yeah, it's good to be here again.
When surveillance goes really under the skin,
We need to monitor what's happening under the skin.
surveillance technologies,
Surveillance going under our skin, especially surveillance under the skin. We have now hackable animals under the skin.
And of course, that leads to the Internet of Bodies. So having this stuff on your body is going to already connect you to the Internet of Bodies. They're tracking and monitoring. What do you think? When you have a Fitbit on, That it's just going into your phone. That's where the information is going. How many crime shows have you seen? If you don't watch any of these crime shows, lots of these crimes are solved by the Fitbit. And you'd say to yourself, well, wait a minute. I thought I was just wearing a Fitbit so I could track my steps, so I could, see how many calories I'm burning every day. How in the world do the police have access to my location as well? Well, because you're tagging yourself like cattle. And all of this information is going way beyond your phone. It's actually going to the NSA and your government. And you might sit there and say, well, I don't care. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm going for a hike. So what's the big deal? You will care in the future, because the more the government reveals itself to you, you'll realize that they've taken away and stripped us of all our freedoms. And you might say, well, I'm somebody who loves everyone and accepts everyone. Oh, yeah? Well, you might not accept it when the government tells you how often you could turn your air conditioner on or how often you could flush your toilet, or maybe when your government suddenly tells you that nobody's allowed to have their own opinion anymore. And maybe the government will even eventually say, hey, you know what? We don't really support the LGBTQ. We just used it as a means to get what we wanted in the end. And then suddenly your opinion on things will change. Your opinion will suddenly not be, well, the government's my best friend. The government's here to help. Your government's going to put you on lists, and the government's going to track you and monitor. And they're going to use things like this under the skin surveillance to make sure that you're in your home at all times when they tell you to be. Because when they implement the carbon laws and the climate laws and your carbon footprint, you're going to eat what they say. You're going to drink how many times they tell you could drink. You're going to piss how many times they tell you could piss. And you're going to live a life as a modern day slave. And eventually, of course, we know what this wearable technology turns into, because we're talking about things like the Fitbit, right? When we hear wearable tech, the first thing that comes to most people's mind is the Fitbit. Well, they have another plan for you, and that's the Fitbit for your brain, known as the Neuralink.
In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires. We feel confident about getting the link procedure, the installation of a link, done in under an hour. So you can basically go in the morning and leave the hospital in the afternoon. In a lot of ways, it's kind of like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny wires.
People like your son.
Yes.
I mean, he walks around as the wealthiest man in the world, bar none. Do they like him, really?
You know, I don't like the word wealthy or billionaire or things like that, because I think it's degrading. I think he's the genius of the world. And people are loving him for that. They don't, when they see me, they go crazy because I'm his mother. But they love him because of what he does, and they respect him, and I'm very proud of him.
I can't imagine what it would be like to be his mother, watching him go from PayPal to rockets to Tesla to all just one thing after another. You ever surprised about what he's coming up with next?
Well, every time I'm surprised, and every time I say, don't take on something else. And he doesn't listen to me. And then he makes a big change. And this Neuralink, people saying, why I don't want something in my head. I said, well, you aren't paralyzed. So, or you aren't blind.
Good point.
If you're blind and you don't want to see, then you can argue the point. You don't have to have a chip in your head. I think he's the genius of the world. And this Neuralink, people saying, why I don't want something in my head. I said, well, you aren't paralyzed. So, or you aren't blind.
Good point.
If you're blind and you don't want to see, then you can argue the point. You don't have to have a chip in your head. A chip in your head. A chip in your head.
And that's what it all turns into. The wearable tech goes underneath your skin, and just like Elon Musk has said, the Neuralink is going to be in hundreds of people, already is, then tens of thousands within 5 years, and millions within 10. And the Neuralink, the neural lace, is the thing that really matters for humanity to achieve symbiosis with machines. As he mentioned several years ago, it increasingly appears that humanity is a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. That's what this is about. The mixing of iron and clay, the merging of man and technology. Wearable tech is the transition, getting you so used to and accustomed to having this stuff on your body. First doing propaganda campaigns having the government give them out for free to get people to sign up because not enough people already purchased these devices. Maybe because they were costly, or maybe because people said, well, I don't really want one. But if their doctor tells them, just like we heard and saw a couple years ago, if your doctor tells you that you need one of these things because your health is at risk, well, these people are going to go, oh, I do? All right, I guess I should get one, and we'll give it to you for free, just like we gave it to everybody for free a couple years ago. In fact, we even bribed you a couple years ago to put that in your body. When we told you to go get those shots, we said we give you a lap dance, we'll give you Arby's gift cards, we'll give you $100 Visa gift cards. And people went and they did it. They'll do the same thing here. When your government gives you something for free, well, you better run in the opposite direction. Because if it's for free and they market it as in being beneficial to your health, well, you could believe the exact opposite. So more people will have this tech on their bodies because the healthcare system is going to force it on people's bodies as we transition to the AI healthcare system. The sheeple will get it on their body. They'll get addicted to it, just like they're addicted to their phones. There's people that have this tech on them that literally are addicted to it. They want to know how many steps they walk every day. They want to know how many breaths they actually take. But the reality is the government wants to know even more. As sick as some of these people are wanting to know every single thing going on underneath the skin, the government wants to know twice as much. And these people are willingly participating. And then once they're addicted to this tech, like we're seeing with the phone, when the government comes out and says, look, we have to transition this for a more accurate read underneath your skin. So then we can really track everything. We can monitor and detect cancer ahead of time. That way we could prevent you from getting, you can. And then they'll tell you, well, it's not a big deal. It's no different than a pacemaker. People have pacemakers. They'll go, right, people have pacemakers. And they'll get convinced into it. You'll see celebrities get it. And celebrities will be showing it to you on their reality shows, which aren't really reality. And people will say, well, that does seem kind of neat. Oh, some celebrity had cancer detected a month, before the doctor could have found it, and it saved their lives. And the more and more propaganda spreads, the more and more these people will fall in line and will go from the wearable tech that the government wants everybody to have within 4 years to the technology under the skin within the next 10 years, just like Elon Musk predicted with people with the Neuralink, millions within the next 10 years. So this is your government, again, openly, just like they told you during COVID. Contact tracing. We're going to access your phone. Download this app. People did it. Now they're saying, look, put this wearable tech on. It's for your benefit. And you'll see the clamps start to tighten because you'll see healthcare providers maybe refuse healthcare to people who don't have it. Because they're saying, well, you're not doing everything to give us data on what's wrong with you. So you need to wear this stuff if you want to continue to have health care. And these people will go, okay, I'll get it. And then some people will go, well, you know what? I don't like sleeping with a watch on my wrist. I don't like sleeping with a Fitbit on my wrist. And they'll go, well, we're going to work on that for you. We're going to work on that. Oh, and then just like a pacemaker, we have this new tech that could go under your skin and detect all these things. It can detect your red blood cell count, your white blood cell count, more than you could ever possibly imagine. And they'll fall in line, hook, line, and sinker, as most sheeple seem to do. While people are distracted with all of the nonsense we see on the news every single day, this should be the main point of focus. But it's not. It's not, because these people think technology is their friend. They might not trust the government, but they don't realize when the government comes out and tells you stuff like this, we care, we want to help, we want to make sure people are healthier, that they're baiting you, which is why RFK is pretending to remove food dyes from food. Oh, RFK is removing food dyes. Well, why didn't they do it before that? Oh, because they're building trust now, right? So people the last 20 years didn't care about food additives. We all knew what was in it. Nobody wanted to do boo about it. Oh, but RFK is a hero. He's a hero, right? He's in the conservative party. He's hanging out with Russell Brand and Trump and Musk, and he's removing food dyes so we could trust him, right? And he's just trying to get it on my wrist for now. And then eventually when I get addicted to it and they tell me that it needs to go under my skin, I'll do it, because I won't realize that all it's about is under the skin surveillance, tracking and monitoring us like the cattle they view us as. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.